Gon, welcome to the Innerviews. This is the first video podcast that we are trying to do, and it will be hosted
Mhm.
on the metaverse, where people from all around the world will come in their tiny little avatars, and they will try to see what is happening in this interesting part of the digital world. Here, the reason why we're doing this is so that
Mhm.
people can understand different practices of spirituality that happen all around the world. And we're just trying to shed some light on what these practices are, how these teachers have benefited other people and themselves, and trying to know more about these practices and these teachers. So, you are
Mhm.
the first person who I'm interviewing and the first person to go on this podcast. So, welcome
I'm
to.
honored.
You're honored to be here. I'm so honored that you're here, really.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, Gon, you are a breathwork teacher. Tell us a little about how did it begin? How did you get into breathwork and why breathwork?
Okay. So how I got into it and why I can't really answer because it wasn't really like my conscious choice. And it happened like 2 years back when I was sitting in one cafe in Arambur feeling quite lost because I had been working as a massage therapist for the past 10 years. And then I started having some physical problems with my wrists and so on. So I was sitting there, okay, what should I do? It seems like I need something else to do in my life, but I couldn't think of anything else. And, I was kind of in a low spirit and so on. But somehow I met randomly a girl, and then she was talking about this breathwork class happening regularly, just like 10 minutes away from the cafe. And yeah, I've never heard of these things going on. And even if I heard of it, I was not interested in such a practice like breathwork,
Hmm.
because it just sounds very boring. And I had my all other spiritual practice that I was doing, and this wasn't really helping me, So I'm like, okay, breathwork will be something like doing meditation, focusing on your breath, and what
Hmm.
can it do?
Hmm.
So I really had zero interest. But somehow that morning, it's like, there is a moment in your life that you don't really choose, but you kind of witness yourself doing something like, oh my god, I'm doing this. So there was like no reasoning and like no expectation and no planning, nothing.
Hmm.
Just that morning I found myself sitting in that class,
Hmm.
like for the first time, having no idea what I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
And
Uh,
then from that first class, yeah,
no, go on.
and I had such an intense like experience. So from that class, I was like doing that practice every day, literally. And then this actually, yeah, brought me here now teaching breathwork. So
Wow.
that's how it happened. And when I look back, I really think this was the
Mhm.
call, like from the spirit that this is what you are going to do for your next phase of your life.
So, how was the first experience that you had there when you went there? What was the practice like? What was the breathing technique? And what? How did the experience open up? What was your experience like? The first experience.
So we were doing some warming up exercises like Wim Hof
Uh-huh.
breathing
Mhm.
and Kaparbati, breath of fire.
Mhm.
So
Can you
there was
explain that a
more.
little? Can you explain that as to what the breathing pattern is and to the listeners and the viewers because they might not know what it is like?
Okay, but it's only for warming ups. But for warming ups, like a breath of fire is you exhale through your nose, and when you are exhaling, you will draw your belly button inside. So this is like pumping the energy into your belly with the breath, and
Hmm.
it activates the lower belly area.
Hmm.
This kind of another yogic breath work we do as a warming ups.
Okay.
And then Wim Hof is like such a famous man,
Mm-hmm.
introducing this mouth breathing,
Mm-hmm.
breathing in fully and letting the breath out. And this we do like in rounds, like a 30 breath, for example, for one round. And then at the end of the 30 breath, we will hold our breath
Hmm.
and then, yeah, see what it brings, So
Hmm.
these things we were doing in that class as a warming ups. And then the main practice itself is you lie down and then you do mouth breathing. Open your mouth and breathing in and out through your mouth only. And actually, as technique wise, it's that simple. So this
Okay.
is what I did in that, yeah, class.
And what was your first experience? Were you expecting anything? And how did your experience kind of open up? What happened there?
Well, I didn't expect anything because, first of all, I really had no idea what I was going to do with the breath. I just knew it's something to do with the breath, but I, had no, like, nothing to expect. So I just followed, what was presented there. And then I experienced such a, like, big release physically. First, all my like limbs, my arms and my legs got so tight and like had a very strong muscular like contraction,
Mm-hmm.
and which I heard later on is very common reaction when you first start doing breath work.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this all physical like contraction plus emotional like bursting out. So
Hmm.
I was crying and and then at some point, my consciousness was drifted like to some other like state. And then when I came back from there, it just felt like I was so much cleansed and purified and much lighter. And, like, yeah, like after, it's like a trip. It's like a nature trip
Hmm.
because it really affects it like that. You can't expect what's gonna happen,
Happen.
but things happen that it just brings up so many stuff that was buried inside of you,
Hmm.
and that in the process of it gets released, you experience like a lot of different things that you might not even be able to grasp at the moment. It just
Hmm.
comes and goes, and it's not like you understand everything what's happening.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Did this experience?
yeah.
That's Did this experience the feeling of that release and relief? Did it last for a few days? How was the effect? And for the next few days, were you feeling the same lightness?
Well, that's the thing, you feel like something has been released, but then of course you go through a day in a kind of a bit different state,
Hmm.
but it doesn't really like, because your mind comes back and hold on to, like, in the mind level you face the life in, unless you are really really consciously staying, you
Hmm.
know and I think it's normal. And then I was doing it every day. The class was happening every day, so I just went like directly in, very deep inside of me
Hmm.
to release everything out. So it wasn't like a matter of once I did the breath work and then I felt good for 3 4 days, nothing like that,
Hmm.
but just a kind of like
A
like
regular
yeah,
practice.
starting to, yeah, becoming a regular practice and starting to, like, yeah, give opportunity for these things to come up so that I integrate it in my life. Because when it's like suppressed, you can't really do anything with it. But this practice was giving the opportunity for this uh, yeah, like long time stored
Hmm.
energies to come up so that I can process it in my daily life.
Hmm.
But then how it works is also kind of in a very subtle way. It has its organic I think, way of being integrated, So it's
Right.
not like a one-time process that I do this and then I see the change,
Hmm.
but it's like somehow gradually, like, yeah,
Correct.
integrated in the practice and out of the practice.
Hmm. And these,
Yeah.
so you started doing it every day, and you started having these experiences. Gradually, I guess we also start understanding how to integrate, because it's very important to being able to see for the experience that comes up and not engage in it and not judge it. Is that correct?
Hmm. Yeah.
So you started having these experiences, and eventually you thought of teaching. How did that switch come, and when did that come?
Teaching.
You started teaching breathwork as well, right? So how did
Yeah.
you from a practitioner become a teacher?
Uh, well, I mean, okay, so first, like more than how many? Maybe first like 9 months, I was very much into just practicing it myself
Hmm.
because I could see how powerful this effect is. And so that time it was like a first period after the COVID broke out. So everything was locked in and and so on. But somehow my teacher was like giving here and there like a 7 days course or 10 days course, diving deep
Hmm.
with the breath work and using also different medicines, other medicines.
Hmm.
So, with that and or even without the breath work, I could see how much it can transform a person's life, and I experienced it in myself. And then it was so natural for me because it was so simple but so profound. Then I want to also spread this to the world,
Hmm.
because for me this was very new thing that I've never really experienced in any other parts of the world, or mostly like back in Korea.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my god, this someone needs to bring this,
Hmm.
and introduce, because it's just so, yeah, it's so deep, yet anybody can do it, and it's so simple. You just lie down and breathe.
Hmm.
You need nothing.
And
So
when you
yeah.
when you're breathing, when you say you lie down and breathe, what sort of breaths are you taking? Are you doing any form of techniques there, or are you just after the Wim Hof and the fire breathing you said? Are there more techniques that you apply, or is it just connecting with your breath? How does it go about?
It's, actually it can be done even without this Wim Hof and breath of fire. This is like something to just prepare people mentally and physically more suitable for breath work.
Hmm.
But actually, even without that, we can just simply lie down.
Hmm.
Of course, better to put the intention,
Hmm.
like, before any spiritual practice, and lie down. And then there are like some technical points that we have to follow. First one is you only use your mouth,
Hmm.
so breathe in and out through your mouth only.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
second part is when you breathe in, you will breathe into your belly first. So your belly is rising, and then that air will lift your chest up. So for some people, this requires a practice to breathe into their belly, but this is one of the key points. And yeah, and then making the breath continuously flowing, having no stop
Hmm.
in between inhalation and exhalation. So the breath will flow like the waves in the ocean,
Hmm.
like without any gap in between, So these are the things that when you lie down and start breathing, these are the things to keep in mind.
Hmm.
And that's it.
And
So yeah.
can someone do it by themselves, or would you recommend that somebody should learn it under a breathwork teacher, not by themselves initially?
It's recommended. Yeah, first you start under the guidance of a teacher,
Hmm.
because first to get it correctly,
Hmm.
because when you're breathing, you really don't really know if I am breathing into belly, or some things to like check, so to do it correctly. And second thing is that you never know what you will experience, and you might panic,
Hmm.
like some painful or very uncomfortable physical reaction can happen, or emotionally, some like release that you can't really handle by
Hmm.
yourself. All these things,
Hmm.
when it happens, it's very necessary that you have someone to assist the process. So for the
Correct.
first starters, it's recommended that you do it with a proper guide.
Correct. And there's no age limit also.
Yeah,
How young and how old can a person be that they can practice this?
anybody who can breathe can do. Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, and I believe so. It's
And you've seen that in your experience as well.
not in my own experience. Maybe the oldest person was maybe 70 something.
Hmm.
Yeah, and youngest, I haven't done it with the teenagers, so youngest will be like 20s.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was it
but I
different?
believe this will affect
Hmm.
different young and old.
Did you experience that when
Uh,
the 70-year-old person did that? Was it a very intense release because there was so much uh, piled up with his experience? Do you think so?
where no, I don't think we can say it by age, because even when a person is like very old, it depends on how he or she spent her life. So if
Hmm.
this person had been already doing a lot of work,
Hmm.
but then when they come to breath work, it's different. But even
Hmm.
it's like 20 years old, had nothing, no self work before,
Hmm.
and come to the class, it can like be
Blast
smashed.
off, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair,
So it doesn't really matter by on the
fair.
age.
Is it
Yeah.
so intense that it can leave an impact where it can be um, irreversible? Can it damage in places where it can really be where you might need some other help? Have you seen those cases, or doesn't really uh, it doesn't have any? Does it have any potential to damage somebody? Is my question.
Uh,
Harm,
unless the person already has some
psychological
how you call
issues.
it, psychological issues,
Hmm.
then it might. But and also if you use other substances like psychedelics, or and then you do breath work, then it
Mm.
can really increase the intensity of that trip, and it might damage, you
Okay.
know.
Mm.
So I mean, there are some like occasions where this kind of drugs, like psychedelic drugs or other type of medicine, is combined with breath work, and
Hmm.
to provide a very intense experience. But this, you really need someone who's very professional with
Right.
it, in both areas. So if you go that way without any proper uh,
Guidance.
protection, guidance, then it might damage you. So this, you need to be careful.
Fair, fair. And
Yeah.
in your teaching experience, do you remember any of the experience that impacted someone's life where it left an impact on you also? Something very profound happened to someone, or something that happened to you that
Mm.
came up? Any experience?
Where this kind of experience I had more when I was practicing myself, when I was attending the classes, or you know then I've experienced it. Yeah, but in my own teaching, I haven't really seen such a big transformation in others, and which impacted me. But there was one one guy that I met, and he had been coming to my class quite regularly and did some individual sessions in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And like a month ago, he told me something very beautiful, which was like he himself had a little mental problem. So he was seeing psychiatrist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came to the breathwork, and he learned this practice, came to the class, and he started also practicing by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then what he told me was, you know, breathwork is really like the best therapy, because any other therapies, like you need to explain to the others, and the others will try to provide the solution, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But with breathwork, he said, I just understand about myself, and I don't need anybody. And I just, in my body, I experience what is there and how to like deal with it, you know? And there, it was for me to hear, it's the essence of this practice, you know? It's like you are the own healer for yourself. You actually, nobody else can heal you. And breath work will let you, yeah, be uh, have a contact with that power inside of you. And this is magic, and this is like, yeah, this is why I really call it breath medicine, you know.
Hmm. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And I myself have done some Wim Hof sessions, and I realized how strong this um, practice can be, because even Wim Hof, I remember doing. In a few days, the levels of energy that I had were insanely high without doing anything.
Mm,
I was just living normal life, and I remember how it impacted me. But I haven't done any of the breathwork sessions that you do. Even when you were here in
mm,
Arambol, I couldn't really come to any. But I think I will now have to, considering our conversation and how much I know through you, I will be
mm.
doing this soon. Yeah, because
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it
That's
sounds.
amazing. Yeah, my teacher now is in Dharamshala, Dharamkot,
Uh huh.
and he's doing this regular classes and sometimes with medicine. So
Hmm.
if you go up there,
Hmm.
please experience it, and then yeah,
I will. I'd
I'm
love
sure you will love it. Yeah.
to. And just few last questions. We've
Mhm.
already, I think, gone for like 15 to some 15 odd minutes now, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, um, do you think that there needs to be any preparation done before? Some technical questions I have. Does a person need to be prepared for something before they do this? Are there any do's or don'ts for doing breath work?
Where we recommend not to take any foods before 1.5 hour at
Mm-hmm.
least.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, of course, better to be in clean state of body and mind.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there is not no strong don'ts. You come with an empty stomach and yeah, prepared.
Does it have to happen in the morning, or it can happen in the evening as well, or
Not
both
really.
times?
Some people do it in the nighttime to be relaxed, you know.
Hmm.
And there is not really like time regulation or yeah.
Hmm. Fantastic. And
Mm.
I think that is pretty much all I had. Maybe we will do another session where we deep dive into the practices, and we'll try to understand more about the nuances and intricacies of it. Um, Anything else gone that you would like
Mm-hmm.
to tell people about breathwork? Any message that you have for people who are here in the metaverse now?
Yeah, I mean it's really simple practice that you breathe, and all you need to do is like focusing on your breathing, you know. But then the work being done is tremendous. And I think there is something like really uh, something mystical about it, you know. And this is like really requiring our belief that there is something greater than our personal self. Because when you do breath work, all you need to actually do is breathing and focusing on the breathing, but then the things that is being done by that breath is beyond your own like planning or capacity. It's out of your control. So if you like get into this, then it's like for sure you will understand who I actually am. And this is for me the biggest point of doing breath work. Because okay, trauma release, emotional release, whatever physical benefits are there, but that's not about it. In the end, it's understanding the essence of our being. And breath is actually something very subtle, but really connecting between life and death, and between these physical realms and the other. So breath, when you really think about it, is something really sacred and mysterious and like very, yeah, very like a magical. So in this context, I don't know, breathwork, I really appreciate that this kind of practice exists, that's available to everyone, and can really do good changes, can bring good changes into people's mind and
Fantastic.
heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, Before we close, just one last question. Do you think we will be able to do some form of video sessions for breathwork? So people who are here in the metaverse right now, can they come back some other time, and can we have like a live online breathwork class? Do you think that would be possible,
Mm,
or do you
it
recommend
should
no?
be possible.
Hmm.
I mean, there are online breathwork classes going on, but for
Hmm.
me, I personally I haven't done it,
Hmm.
and I am not 100% like in for giving online breathwork classes,
Hmm.
because there is a bit of limitation between me assisting your journey.
Hmm.
So when we are one-to-one, I
Hmm.
can do some body work, or it's easier to be there. But
Hmm.
when it's online, somehow it's hard to catch where you are. And
Hmm.
in that sense, I'm a bit like reluctant to do it online.
Hmm.
But possible. Maybe if you are interested, maybe we can like first do it and see how it goes, and then decide, okay, maybe it can be open to
Sure.
other groups as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we can see and take
This is.
any form of understanding or feedback of what was the issue that I was facing. You can
Mm-hmm,
also understand how can you be there more. Yeah, we can try that. Why not?
mm-hmm.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
And for other people who are listening to this and who are interested in this practice, do they just Google breathwork in their area, breathwork near me, breathwork classes, and should they go for that? Anything that they should look for? How should they go about it?
Mm-hmm. I guess they can Google.
Hmm.
uh, but I'm not really, I don't really know how it's going on, other than the places that I'm in India and in Korea.
Hmm.
But for sure, they can look it up or ask around if, anybody knows anybody doing it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's it's a relatively new field of experimentation, I guess, and there are not a lot of teachers around the world. Or do you think there are a lot of teachers now? They're growing, I feel.
Where, it's been since like 1960s and 70s. It came up with holotrophic breathwork and the rebirthing and so on. So there are, like, I think, very highly qualified teachers around if you
Hmm.
go for those names. But what I'm doing is, compared to that, it's a slightly milder version. And this is called conscious connected breathing.
Hmm.
So yeah, what I want to say is the other things that's been there for longer years. I think it's relatively easy to find professionals who are doing it,
Hmm.
but still compared to other types of therapy, less,
Hmm.
I guess.
Fair.
So
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay. I think that'd be
good luck
interesting.
actually to find a good teacher in this is also, yeah,
Oh, it's like a good
yeah,
blessing, yeah.
not very easy, I guess.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I think as time is passing by, more and more people are getting these experiences. And just like you had your experience where you went and it changed your life, some other person would be
Mm-hmm.
experiencing something right now as we speak and would be changing his or her life. And they would want to become a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this will keep growing now because it's very required in today's world, and especially
Yeah.
with technology growing so much. It's great where technology has reached, but I think we also have to find our roots and be able to connect ourselves even deeper, because if we don't do that, then it could be
Mm-hmm.
problematic. We're trying to get into these different realities in technology, and we can lose touch with ourselves. So it's very important that
Mm-hmm.
we start connecting with ourselves through these practices. And
Yeah, and I think seeing the yoga becoming so popular,
mhm,
not only in India but all over the world globally.
mhm,
And I hope that one day breath work will become like a yoga that anybody has done, knows about it and at least has done it. And this time will come, and yeah, as you said, we need this kind of practices.
absolutely. I think it's just a matter of
Yeah.
time, and this will, because anything that impacts people so much and has so much value that is generated, it will grow, you know. And listening to your story, I think there are a
Ye-
few people here who themselves would try to maybe practice or learn more about it. So I guess as we're living and sharing, we're planting seeds and they will grow into trees later on.
Yeah, but one thing that that's kind of bothering me is like this coronavirus, and for sure there will be some other freaking viruses coming. And this is all respiratory viruses, and
Hmm.
people just becoming more and more fearful about breathing,
Hmm.
and other people being around and breathing together, they have to
Cover
put their
themselves.
masks on.
Hmm.
And this is like kind of also, in my belief, it's cutting our connection to our own breath.
Hmm.
Somehow it's suppressing the most like powerful medicine that we carry in ourselves.
Hmm.
And this is being also taken away. Like
Hmm.
imagine when the pandemic is on, everyone is afraid. Who's gonna come to breathwork class where you
Correct.
have to put off your mask and breathe with other people?
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is for me like, yeah. Also, it's another type of suppression,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
on us.
Th-
Yeah, and it's quite pity and sad.
Fair. But I think
What to do? Yeah.
even when one person can sit down by themselves and just learn this technique, learn how to breathe or how to do breath work, they can always, it's like they found a home in themselves. They can do this by themselves. So even if there is anything happening in the world where outside somebody is
Mm-hmm.
telling them that you have to do this or you have to do that, because in every part of the world situations are different, circumstances are different, and government regulations are different. So if one can find some sort of practice that they can do with themselves in their home, nobody can take that
Mm-hmm.
away. I think this is what
Yeah,
breath
this
work
is
also brings
true.
at.
Yeah, yeah. But I was more on like a social like condition,
Hmm.
where how much breath is being suppressed, and
Hmm.
breath is just so deeply like essentially connected to our life,
Hmm.
and it's so powerful, and it's just being, yeah, controlled in this way. And yeah, it was just I wanted to complain.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
view of a breathwork teacher. So yes, absolutely, because you will be able to
yeah.
see it from a very different side. Hmm.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Gon. This was
Thank you. Yeah.
an amazing session, and I would love to maybe in future sometime go a little deeper. In these sessions, we're just trying to. We don't want to go very deep because it can become a very exhaustive episode, but just to shed light on what practices exist around the world. But certainly and
Mm-hmm.
definitely, we will try to bring even deeper understanding about these practices to the people who are
Mm-hmm.
interested. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking time out and
Mm-hmm.
sharing your experience and sharing your energy with us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. Yeah. And yeah, very nice to meet you or whoever watched this.
And now I
Yeah.
think you will be in the metaverse exploring this space. I hope you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll talk later. Tell me, how does it feel?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Gon. Thank you, everybody, for
Okay.
listening to.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to Interviews. And we hope to bring more teachers and more practices here. If you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, please drop in the Telegram group that we have. And if you want if you want me to interview any teacher or any other practitioner, or you want to know more about any practice, please let us know, and we'd be happy to do that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have a good session. Have a good time here.